Welcome to another Montana FFA teacher tutorial. This is Gwen with the Montana FFA Foundation, and today we're going to be walking through how to register on judgingcard.com for our John Deere Ag Expo that's held every November at Montana State University. Since judgingcard.com is a completely online registration platform, we're just going to walk through how to do that step by step today. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is pull up judgingcard.com in our browser. So here I have judgingcard.com saved on my home tab, but I'm just type in the URL here as well. And it just pops right up right there. So it's www.judgingcard.com. So this is what your page should look like once you go to the judgingcard.com homepage. Before you even look to register for the John Deere Ag Expo, you'll need to sign into Judging Card, and the sign-in information is right here on your upper left, right below the scan man. You're going to have to sign in as a chapter. Your username is going to be your FFA chapter number, and the username goes right in this section of the sign-in box in the upper left-hand part of your screen. And then you'll also key in your password. I'm just going to sign in under the Montana FFA Association for now, and my information is already auto-filled, so I'll just click sign in. And from here we can see our primary account page. Now since I'm here, I can register for the John Deere Ag Expo, so I'll need to go to event registration and information, which is this little calendar tab here. So I'll click on that, and then I'll need to go to the fall of 2019, and here's our calendar right here. It says fall 2019. And then since the John Deere Ag Expo is in November, I'll click on November. And then here's the John Deere Ag Expo. This year is the 14th through the 16th, so you can click on any of these 3 days and it'll take you to the registration page. This takes us to the main registration page for the John Deere Ag Expo. It primarily gives an overview of the event information. So at the very top there's this registration link, which you'll click on to start filling out your registration fields for everything that your students are competing in. But before we move there, I wanted to point out a few other things, including the registration status. So this is just if it's currently closed or open. So right now it says open, so that's great. We can go ahead and keep registering our chapter. Another date to keep an eye out for is this registration close date. That tells us that this year it's going to close on October 21st. You'll want to make sure that you have at least something entered for your chapter. I understand that sometimes it's hard to know if your students are all going to be participating a month ahead of time. So it's important to at least have something registered at this point in time, because later on, if you have changes to your registration, we have additional drop dates where our staff can go in and change your registration for you and update things, but we need to have information that you as a chapter are coming by this date. And if you don't get registered before this date, we can't create a new registration, but our staff can go in and edit the current registration. So just be sure to watch that registration close date. If there are any questions along the way with getting registered, please be sure to contact our staff, and there's this contact information section right here. You can send us an email or call the office. We'd be happy to assist. And please be sure to call us before moving on and calling the Judging Card staff, because we should be able to answer most of your registration questions for the Ag Expo. And our last section here is this additional information section. So we don't have anything posted right now for this tutorial, but this is where you'll find the John Deere Ag Expo schedule, the leadership conference schedule, and then any other additional information about sending us your student IEPs so we can set up accommodations and things of that nature. And you'll also be able to find the John Deere Ag Expo schedules posted to the magnet. If we keep scrolling down, we'll see this general overview of all of the different contests that we have at Ag Expo. They have the name over here on the very left hand side, and then you'll have the registration fees here. You'll see that every student registered has a registration fee of $18 per student, and from there you can see what other costs there might be for the leadership conferences, the keynote dinner, and so on. Over on the very right hand column, you can see how many students or chapters are currently registered for each contest, and if there's a cap for any of the contests. For example, with the Montana Leadership Conference and Premier Leadership Conferences, we have a 150 student cap for each of those leadership conferences. So that's what those look like when there's a cap for registration. Now we've taken a look at the overview for registration, and we can go ahead and complete our online registration for John Deere Ag Expo. So we can click this online registration link, and this will take us to where we can go ahead and get registered. In this scenario, I'm going to be bringing 5 students on behalf of this chapter, and the chapter we're using again is Montana FFA Association. So we're going to look at the J-Day participation fee. This very top one needs to be filled out. Even if I have students not all competing in the same thing, every student that attends John Deere Ag Expo, their number must be accounted for in this top row because we just use a flat fee registration for this event. So I'll click on registration for this J-Day participation fee line, and I'll just put 5 up here. When you first register, we don't necessarily need to have the names for every student, but we'd like to have those by the time that registration is due. So I've entered 5 students to the number of contestants, since that's all that I'm bringing, and if I wanted to add names, I can go ahead and start doing that here. I know that John Smith from my chapter is going to be attending, but I don't know who else is going to for sure come, so I'm going to wait and just add those names in later. And I'm going to click Submit Entry. Here I see that I have 5 students signed up. I only have 1 name here for now, but I have the 5 students signed up, and then I can see that my registration currently is $90. And then from here I can go in and add in individually what my students are competing in. My students this year, they're all competing in Farm and Agribusiness Management, and I have 2 juniors and 1 senior, so I'll click registration for Farm and Agribusiness Management Junior, and I'll click 2, Submit Entry. And I have them registered now, and now I can register my 3 upperclassmen. Now I have my students accounted for here. And then I also have a couple students competing in Ag Mechanics Senior, so I'll click on this registration. And I'll enter in 2 students for Ag Mechanics, and you can see that this contest actually has a price per contestant, so I'll put in their names for this. Submit entry again at the bottom of the page. And those are accounted for. And then this price is also calculated for the 2 students I have registered for Ag Mechanics, since that's $5 per student. So this is all that I'm going to do for now, and then if I scroll to the bottom of the page, we can see our total with our $90 for the 5 students and the $10 for Ag Mechanics. We owe $100 for our registration fees. So you can just use this as an invoice for paying for your registration. If this system doesn't suffice as an invoice for your clerk or your administration, we can certainly generate a new invoice separately from judging card for your registration. Currently it says that payment has not been received. So once our staff receives payment from your chapter for registration, we will update how much you've paid. Once your chapter is paid, this will go away and it will say that you have paid and the amount that you've paid. And if you're wondering where you need to submit your check to, that information is right here at the bottom. So just make the check out to the Montana FFA Foundation and send it to that address listed on the file. Another thing to take note of when you're registering your students is that some contests require just information for how many teams are being registered, and then some contests ask how many individual students are participating. So for example, we have the Ag Communications and Creed Speaking contest right here. So Ag Communications asks how many teams are you bringing, and then Creed Speaking is asking how many contestants or how many students individually are participating. So just be sure to double check as you're entering things in. Even if there's a team component, it may be asking you to say how many individual students you'll be bringing. So that's just something to watch out for. The reason that some contests ask for the number of students who are individually competing from your chapter, and other contests will ask for the number of teams you are bringing to compete. It's all based upon the needs for organizing and putting on each contest, and this can include space needs for teams competing in presentation and ordering scantrons for the contests and so on. I'm satisfied with my registration at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and sign out of Judging Card. So there's this sign out at the top left hand corner of the page next to the scan man, and you can click sign out. And so right now I'm signed out. If you ever need to get back and make changes, it's the exact same process as when you log in the first time. You'll click sign in, and then event registration information. And then I have to go to the month of November, and here I can go back into John Deere Ag Expo, and then I'll click this registration again. And from here it takes me right back to the same place. All of my information's been saved, and I can go ahead and start updating this with additional registrations if I have more students participating or if I need to drop students. For example, maybe I found out that I'm not going to have any students competing in the Farm and Agribusiness Management junior section, so I can just go ahead and change my number of contestants to 0, and then I can go ahead and update my registration now. I'm going to take us back to the main registration page for John Deere Ag Expo. We had mentioned earlier that there will be additional information attached here, including the John Deere Ag Expo schedule and a couple of other items that are pertinent to registration. And we will also post those on the Montana Ag Ed Network. So you can go ahead and search for the Montana Ag Ed Network or the Magnet page. And we will post information about the John Deere Ag Expo to this Ag Ed General group right here on the left-hand side under Groups. Most teachers should already be receiving automatic emails from this page every time something is posted. So you'll either receive an email whenever we post something about Ag Expo, or you can come to this page and just check and see what information there is about Ag Expo, and we will usually have it pinned at the top of the page. So for example, we've already posted information about the John Deere Ag Expo hotel blocks. There's this information here where you can download the spreadsheet and see which hotels are available in Bozeman in our FFA block. As we have more information, we'll keep posting it here to the Ag Ed General group on the Magnet site. With that, we hope that this registration tutorial has been helpful in assisting teachers to get their chapters signed up for the John Deere Ag Expo. And if you do have any other questions about the Ag Expo that wasn't outlined in this video, please be sure to call our staff or email any one of us and we'd be happy to assist you further. Take care, and we look forward to seeing you at the Ag Expo in November.